Without further ado, I'd like to address and introduce our esteemed guest today. So, in the course of his career, Dr. Story has moved from the academic world to consulting, investments, trade representation, international diplomacy, retail banking, and people development. He has a PhD in Japanese decision making, and he is a 32-year veteran of Japan. So he came here when he was about 2.
Yeah, I wish.
He has broad experience, having launched a startup in Nagoya, right here in Nagoya, and completed turnarounds in both Osaka and Tokyo for Austrade. In 2001, he was promoted to country head for Austrade. In 2003, Dr. Story joined Shinsei's retail bank, which interestingly was a combination of a startup and a turnaround. It's kind of an interesting.
Long-term credit bank was the turnaround part.
Okay. I'll ask you about that later. He led Shinsei's retail branch network, eventually becoming the joint CEO of the retail bank. In July 2007, Dr. Story became the country head for National Australia Bank in Japan. And in 2010, he joined Dale Carnegie Training Japan as the president, which he currently is. Dr. Story is chairman emeritus of the Australian New Zealand Chamber of Commerce in Japan. He is also a sixth dan in traditional
Shitoru
karate. He applies martial art philosophies and strategies to business issues. In April last year, he published his book, Japan Sales Mastery, which I actually have
Just
a copy.
happen to have a copy here.
Yeah, happen to have a copy, all right. I have read it, and I do highly recommend it. And he also has another book that he has completed called Japan Business Mastery, which is with the editor and will be released soon, hopefully this year.
Yeah.
All right. So everyone, please remember to take notes. There will be a Q&A session at the end. So please save your questions for the end and ask a lot of them. All right. So now, without further ado, everyone, please give me a hand in welcoming our esteemed guest, speaker, Dr. Greg Story.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I just observed everyone when I came in before and how you're all interacting with one another. I don't think anyone in this room needs anything regarding networking as a lecture because you seem to be doing a brilliant job already. But let's just look at this subject and maybe some additional ideas may occur to you on how to take it to a different level or a higher level. First of all, though, just going to ask you cooperation on one thing. If we can, just write down your objectives for today. What are 3 things that you'd like to take away from this session to help me a little bit tailor what I'm going to say to make it more relevant for you? Just think about 3 things that you'd like to get out of today. We think about it. Sometimes people are shy about walking up to complete strangers at an event and introducing themselves. But I ask you to think of it this way. If you had the cure for cancer, you had it, you've got it, you've got the cure for cancer, how many people would you want to share that with? Everybody. Would you be shy about walking up to people and telling them, I've got the cure for cancer. I can help you, I can help your family, I can help your friends. If you think of it like that, none of us would be shy or hesitant to meet people we don't know and engage them in some sort of conversation. So networking, in a way, it's the same idea, that you are meeting someone for the first time possibly and exchanging cards or getting to know them. You have in your business a solution possibly for what's ever ailing their company. If you think of it from that approach, you have got a duty to meet people and to meet as many people as possible. So if you flip the mentality around a little bit and think, I've got a duty when I go to an event to meet as many people as possible, that whole shyness just drops away. You become much more confident to walk up to people you don't know and introduce yourself. So think of it like that way. But then again, we're going to think about what's the objective? Why are we meeting people? What are you trying to achieve? Now, I go to many events. As the president of my company, I can't pick up the phone and cold call clients. Because if the president's cold calling them, they think it's a bit odd in Japan. My team can do it, but I personally can't. So I need to go to networking events to meet potential clients. So my objective is very, very clear. I'm trying to build my business. I'm trying to find a new client. I'm trying to expand the range of business we can do in the training area. I've got a very clear objective in that. I'm not there because I'm lonely. I'm not there trying to find a girlfriend or a new wife or anything like that. I'm there for business, it's very clear. It's not social in that sense, although getting to know people can become social, but I'm looking for a client. Now, what's your objective? What are the things you're trying to achieve? Is it business? Is it social? What's the thing you're after? Because that's going to vary how you'll approach networking. And then the problem here is we exchange cards, we get to receive cards. Now, do we really want to know a lot of people, or do we want to be known? And this is the issue. And do we want to be known, and does the person care? So this is where actually getting to meet a lot of people is good, but then what happens after that? Do they care about you? Are you interesting to them? Is there anything that they would like to continue in the relationship with you? This is really the part of networking. Going up and meeting a bunch of people and collecting cards, terrific, that's great, but doesn't build a relationship. It doesn't build anything ongoing. So knowing a lot of people, having a lot of meiji, doesn't mean anything. It's, do people know you? Do people know you? Now, before you saw this notice in the ACCJ journal, or probably on the website, how many people knew me before you saw that? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, so there's 8 people here, 9 people, who knew me before you even got here. I was known to them, right? That's what you want. You want to have people know you before, and then they meet you. They know of you, and then they meet you. So the objective is a little bit different if you think about what we're trying to do here. And that's by forming relationships and making yourself valuable, providing a good solution for their problems in your business, being someone who's introducing them to other contacts in business so that you're a bit of a catalyst for them to grow their business. And then people remember you and they like you. And then finally, why not take every opportunity to network? There's no downside really to networking for you. There's no pain involved apart from shyness. There's no penalty involved. If people don't want to meet you, that's okay. And I've had that happen. I've been to events in Tokyo where people go for the speaker and they don't really want to know anybody. And they don't want to exchange, they've got cards, they don't want to exchange cards with you, they don't want to engage with you. That's okay. We don't have to, hit the ball out of the park every person. But there will be plenty of people who want to meet new people, who want to increase their business. A friend of mine lived in Tokyo for a very long time. We actually worked together at the Shinsei Bank. He's also running Dale Carnegie now in Hong Kong. And he moved to Hong Kong, and we were talking about networking events. He said in Hong Kong, it's so different to Japan. Every single person there is trying to make something happen in their business. And they're there because they want to meet someone who can help them do that. So the output of energy is, the tension, they say in Japanese, is very high. They want to meet as many people, grow their business, make it something bigger than what it is. So their attitude is very strong on networking. Whereas Japan is just so different. It's so shy and so demure and so quiet and so calm about that. And if I don't know you, I'm scared to meet you because I don't know you. So, we'll talk about breaking through some of those problems in a moment. So the mental game of networking is you've got the cure. Your solution is the cure for their problem. Don't hesitate. Don't be shy. Meet them. Tell them what you do. Try and find a business connection because you will be providing help to that person and their business, and therefore you have a lot of value for them. So never be shy about that. And don't worry about if people brush you off. That's okay. We'll come to that in a minute too. So where would you do the networking? Like tonight, a chamber event. Okay, very good. I go to the Swiss chamber, I go to the French chamber, I go to the German chamber, I go to the Australian New Zealand chamber, I go to the American chamber, I go to the Italian chamber. Who else do I go to? Have I left anybody out? I belong to Benkyokai, I belong to industry groups, I go to a myriad of things. Some are in Japanese, some are in English, depending on what I'm doing. But I'm looking for every opportunity to expand my range of business contacts to build my business. And so, as I say, study groups I find very useful. These are more intimate. Dinner parties, again, when you're at a dinner party, how do you engage in conversation with someone? Some people, that's quite difficult. For me, it used to be impossible. And unless they want to talk about karate, I had nothing to talk about, when I was younger. So I was very limited in my scope. Got a bit better eventually. And also how it's laid out. Now, if you ever go to the Super Bowl in Tokyo, they have it at Tokyo American Club, and they have one of the big ballrooms there. The way they lay it out is a nightmare. They have it in long tables, and so you have to sort of come in one end and walk right down the middle to where the seat is. It's very hard to get around. Even this room is not so easy because you've got the way the tables are seated to get to people. And I found that I stopped going to the Super Bowl because it brings out a lot of foreigners and there's potential clients for me, the Gaishike companies, but trying to work that room, very hard. Can't easily get in because people are sitting there, you can't get past. So you've got to look at what's the scope. Where can you get them beforehand, before they get seated? Most chamber events, they're round tables, it's relatively easy to get around. But what is it that's potential? Now, Nagoya, there are probably not that many chambers here, as I recall. There's probably not that many opportunities for networking, but there's still bound to be industry associations having events. This is always a good venue, the American Chamber. Take the opportunity to go. And often, even if you're not a member and you say, I'm not a member, but I'd like to at least come and look, they'll probably let you come because you're going to pay them some money. So take the opportunity to go and try and meet some new people. Now, who's kissed a frog to find a handsome prince or a beautiful princess? Anyone done that? You've all done it. In sales, we don't know who's a buyer and who's not a buyer. And you can't stand there or sit there and say, well, maybe that person's a buyer, and that one's probably not, that one's probably not, that one's probably not, and dismiss them by just thinking about it. I used to do door-to-door sales when I just left high school. I was selling Encyclopedia Britannica. And like many door-to-door salespeople, we were all geniuses at sales. And we could tell which house in that very proletarian, very lower middle-class suburb that we were visiting wasn't interested in encyclopedias and wouldn't go and knock on that door, when in fact we had no clue and we should have knocked on every door. And the same, when you're at a networking event, don't be selective and think, well, I'll look for the one that looks like the star talent. Sometimes you can't tell. Take every opportunity, meet as many people as you can, but have a good filter. We'll talk about that in a minute. So kissing frogs is what we've all got to do because we don't know until we talk to them, is this a client or not a client? Right? And so don't try and prejudge. So you filter, you'll have something in your business. Now in mine, it's very simple. I meet you, I ask you one key question. How many people work in your company? If you say 1,000 or more than that, I have one image of solutions for you. If you say 500 or 1,000 or under 500, or if you say under 20, depending on the size, I'll have a different solution for you. So I don't discount anyone in my business because we do a lot of public courses. So they only have one person, they can send one person to the public course. We can help that. So the conversation with that person will be something around helping them in that regard. Right? And often they're very large companies, have their own internal training, they have global training, and they don't look at someone like us being involved. So I have to think about the conversation, but I've got filters. I've got an avatar. I've got a rough idea of who I'm looking for, but I don't know whether the person is going to be a buyer or not, so I've got to kiss that frog and find out. And so you'll also get stuck with people. People ask me, well, I go to events and I'm sort of talking to someone, I don't know how to break it off. I don't know how to go and meet other people. And this is a problem. If you're not used to doing it, you don't know how to escape. But you've got to escape. And you've got to be running that filter constantly. If you meet someone, you've got limited time in a networking event, and you run your filter, and they are not a potential for you as a client, if that's what you're looking for, then you've got to break that conversation and go and find someone who is. And don't get stuck just talking with that person for an hour, half an hour at the event, which is what happens. Well, people, they don't know how to break up. It's very simple. You just say, Lovely to meet you today. Thank you very much. I'm just going to go and meet a few other people. Great, I'll catch up with you. And bingo, you disappear, right? And you say very politely, great to meet you today. Been great talking with you. I'm going to meet a few other people here today, catch up with you. Very polite, and bingo, you go. You move on. And you find the next frog and start kissing that frog to see if it's a client or not. You've got to do that because you've got limited time, very limited time. Now, some things, you know what you know, but often there are things you don't know, and when you meet other people, you learn a lot of things. So the opportunity to have a broader range of contacts in your business is always helpful, right? You've got the circle of people you know today are the known knowns, right? You know them. You know what they do. You know about them. You know about their business. But what about all the other people you don't know who might have some insight into what you're doing? They might have a contact that would be useful to you. They might have potential business for you through their relatives or their colleagues or whatever. You've got to try and break out of that circle that you're in now and have a bigger scope of circle. And this is, again, kissing frogs to find out if is this a person that I'm going to have more interaction with or not. And when you run that filter, you know, okay, this person is someone I need to engage a bit more on. And we'll talk a little bit about why we don't discuss business at the networking event. So, arrive early. Now, I got here at 6 tonight, actually 5:45 tonight, and I discovered that the chip wasn't working for my camera, so I had to race over to big camera and get back here. But normally, I would have been here in the room. I would have been meeting you as you came in. So get there early is good. It's good for a couple of reasons. Particularly in Tokyo, when you go to the event, they have all of the name cards lined up, and people are handing over your name card as you arrive, and they're checking off a list, or they're just giving you the name card. Now, when you get there, if you go through those name cards, you can see which companies, normally it says the company and the person's name, which companies are here, or you look and you see, oh, Julian, that's right, Julian, I've met Julian, remember Julian's name, right? Because I might see Julian's face and not remember his name, and that's a bit embarrassing. But when I see his name, that prompts me, oh yes, I remember Julian, that's right. See the face, now I've got the name. That's nice too. So you're not sort of stuck about, oh, hi, it's tip of tongue, I know your name, embarrassing, right? You go through the names, you get there early. Go through them all. Oh yeah, that person, oh yes, I've met that person, these others I don't know. Oh, that person, I want to know that person. So some events I'll go to the host and I'll say, Noriko, there's Miss Smythe here from XYZ company. I'd really like to meet her. Which one is she? And she'll say, oh, that's her over there. Bingo, I'll go and meet her straight away because I've determined by looking through a list of company names who's a potential interesting target for me. So this is the sort of thing when you get there early, you can do that. And I'm a shocker. I'm there, I'm poring over the names, people are coming in looking for their card, I'm going through it, the people at the desk are hoping I'd get out of the road, you know. But I'm relentless because this is my business. I've got to build this business, I've got to meet new people, I've got to know who's in the room, who do I want to meet, and try and have that head start. So get there early, go through the names, or if you can get the list beforehand, ideal. Or sometimes you arrive at some events and they give you the list when you arrive, which is great, so then you can go through it and work out who's in the room and who you want to meet. So that's good. And I'd say no business discussions. Don't talk business much in that meeting. So I have my filter, how many people work for your company? They say, I got 20 people. I say, oh, 20 people. Because by this time, you know, you've done the Meiji core card, the Meiji exchange, the business card exchange, and what does your company do? This is what we do. All I would talk about then would be, you know, when you've got 20 people, it's really hard. It's, you know, it's hard to do internal training with just 20. You know, it's difficult. The critical mass is not there. But luckily, we have a lot of public programs really helpful for small companies, that sort of number, like, you know, your size and my size. And I'll send you after this. I'll just send you the list of all the programs we run because you might see something and it's interesting. Or if they've got a bigger company, I might start asking them a little bit about some things they're interested in, but I won't pursue the conversation in depth. I'll get to a certain stage and I'll stop because I've got to kiss more frogs. There's a lot more frogs out there you've got to be kissed. I know what this frog needs. Clink, got it, and then I got their card, I write on it. Follow up, interested in leadership, interested in sales, interested in presentation skills, interested in communication skills, teamwork. Whatever it is they told me, I'll make a note on the card so I don't have to try and remember it because I'm going to meet probably 50, 60 people that evening. I can't keep track of all of them, make a little note. And then I'll tell them I'll be in touch, and I will be in touch, trust me, and then I go and kiss the next frog. So don't get into an in-depth discussion and solve all the world's problems at that initial stage. Find out what they need, make a note of it, and find the next frog, right? And then I say work the room. Now, I think in this room there's probably only 1 or 2 people that I haven't exchanged business cards. If I've not exchanged business cards, would you mind putting up your hand? 1 person, right? Because I think you came in a little bit after we started, right? That's the idea. I met everybody here. I worked the room. I was relentless. I broke into conversations. I pushed people out of the way and gave them my card. That's an exaggeration. But, you know, you need to try and have that mentality. I'm here to work the room. Now, I'm not going to mention the company, but there are 3 people sitting together here tonight from the same company who should never sit together at events like this. You know who you are, but I won't say the company name. Don't do that. When you go to events, you get there, you say, right, we're going to meet as many people as we can tonight. Don't sit together, spread out, work the room. If I go with my staff, and Maki-san and I, we used to work together, we'd divide up the room. It was a big event. You take that half, I'll take this half, see you at the end. It's like my golf game, right? I never see anybody on the golf game because I'm always slicing off to the right into the woods somewhere looking for my ball, and I see them on the green. It's a bit like that. So that's the idea. Work the room and spread out, split it up, and meet as many people as possible. Don't sit together. Don't hang around talking to each other. Go and meet new people. But I see this all the time. I was at an American Chamber event, and I'm at round tables, and I'm meeting someone, and I get the card, and then the next person, same company, bing, 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 5 of them, all sitting together, and the snapper was the last person, was a section chief, all recruiters. Hello, you shouldn't be sitting here with each other. You're recruiters, you should be working the room. But they don't understand networking, they don't understand their business. So be aware of that. Don't sit together. Say we're going to split the room up, which parts are you going to take, and then spread out. If by accident, it happens sometimes, right? I put my stuff down on the chair because I want to get a seat, and then I come back and my staff members also unknowingly put her stuff on the same table. We change tables straight away. That's a rule. Never sit together. So work the room and work all the tables. Now, in the big events, you've got people sitting at tables and you have your table. So what normally happens, people exchange cards with everyone sitting on their table. No. You go around to every other table, even if you're not sitting there, and you meet everybody at that table. And what happens, obviously, in Japan, the Japanese business people get there early. They always get there early. What do? They go straight to the table and they sit down so they can't meet anybody. Right? And I walk straight up to them and I say, may I meet you? And they're like, oh my God, a foreigner's talking to me at a networking event. Oh no, who knew this would happen? Right? And I meet them. I don't let them off the hook. I work the table and I work everybody's table. Right? Because often the way they work it, they don't give enough networking time at the beginning, and the organiser's telling you to sit down, go get the food out, right? Forget the food, eat later. Work the tables. They're halfway through their fish, doesn't matter. Here's your card, right? Kiss that frog. You've got to have that mentality. Work the room, work every table, meet as many people as possible, get an idea of who you want to have spend more time with, and then do that and say don't sit together. And also, when you're at events, I don't know, maybe Mario, you might have picked this up. I'm notorious in Tokyo for a number of things, possibly, but the one thing I do know I'm notorious about is at events, when I'm in the audience, I'm always asking the first question. And people tease me, oh, Greg, you always ask the first question, stupid type of thing, you know. They don't get it. They don't get it. You don't know when the last question's going to be. And that's happened to me. I've got a really good question, or I ask a question, and I got my hand up and I say, well, that was the last question, and no more questions. I realised, oh, you know when the first question is. You never know when the last one is. Take the first question. So always have the first question. And also everyone's shy, right? Everyone's a bit envy, or, you know, I don't want to ask the first question, so they're hanging back. There's a vacuum. Fill the vacuum. Put your hand up there. ask the first question. Make it a good one, but say your name and say your company name. Because someone sitting in that room might hear your company name and say, oh, I wanted to meet somebody from that company or that industry, or I've heard of this person, I've never had a chance to meet them. And that gives them a chance to know you're there. And what's the cost of that? Free. It's free. So there's some little hints on some of the timing of things. So when you get to meet someone, this is what I'm recommending as a conversation starter. When you're exchanging cards and they say, well, what does your company do? Now, I didn't do that tonight with anybody here because I didn't have time. If I wasn't had this sort of bit of a tech problem there, had a bit more time, I would have been asking, what does your company do? How many people in your company? I would have done all that, but I didn't have time tonight. But normally I would do that. Now, what you do when you're explaining your business, you give them an overview. Dale Carnegie is a corporate training company. It's 107 years old. It's in 100 countries around the world. We specialize in soft skills, right? So that's the overview. Then you describe a common problem that your clients have. And you say it like this. People go to training in your company and then they come back and they don't use anything they learnt. You ever see that? You ever heard of that problem? Have that problem? They go, oh yeah, well we fixed that. That's the solution. And that's where you stop. And usually they say, it takes them about 10 seconds. They go, oh yeah, how do you fix that? And that's the entree, to explain about how you fix that problem. And you tell them a little bit about it, but not everything. Because you want to have that conversation in their office about 3 or 4 days later. Okay, so overview of your business, describe a problem that you solve, as if they know about that problem, and then tell them what the solution is. That's a very good way to explain your business to other people because they get an idea. They may have that very same problem, or they may know someone who has that very same problem, and then you tell them you have a solution for that. So that's a nice, simple structure to explain what you do. Now I'm going to do a little exercise here. I'm going to teach you, this is great for dinner parties, it's great for when you're sitting next to someone at the table and you've got to have a conversation. And some people say, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know how to carry a conversation. I'm always nervous and I don't quite know, what to say. Here's what you say. So I'm going to draw a series of pictures in your mind. I want you to picture a nameplate, like you see on a house, a nameplate, except this nameplate is enormous. It's a huge nameplate. It's so big, it's smashing into the roof of the house, okay? Nameplate smashing into the roof of the house. Can you all see that? Big nameplate smashing into the roof of the house, right? Now, inside the house, there's a baby, but it's a giant baby, really chubby, giant baby playing in the lounge room. The house there, big nameplate smashing into the house, big giant baby playing in the lounge, right, in the house. And then we have a briefcase. Now the giant baby is playing with a briefcase, right? They got dad or mum's briefcase and they're playing with it. So inside the lounge room of this house, a big nameplate smashed in the top of the roof of the house, big giant baby playing with a briefcase. And the baby pulls out of the briefcase an aeroplane, a little aeroplane, toy aeroplane. Now that aeroplane, it's got strange propellers, like the old propeller type, but they're tennis rackets. They're tennis rackets. So we've got the big nameplate smashing in the top of the house. We've got a baby, giant baby, playing in the lounge with a briefcase, and they pull out a plane, but the plane's got tennis rackets for the umbrellas. How strange is that? And then suddenly, the baby picks up the plane and throws it out the window, and it flies out of the house into a monster light bulb hovering over the house. This huge light bulb hovering over the top of the house, right? So, have you got all that? Okay, have you got all that? Let me just see how good you are. Where is what I'm looking for? There. Bingo. So, what's the first image?
Giant nameplate.
Nameplate, right? Nameplate in the house. What's inside the house in the lounge? Giant baby. What's the giant baby doing? Playing with a briefcase. What's in the briefcase? Airplane. What's on the propellers of the airplane? Tennis rackets. And what happens when the baby throws it out the window? Goes up into a light bulb. There is your conversation piece right there. Can you see that? The first one is, what's your name? What's the name of your company? All right, that's name. You get their name, all right? And then, are you here on your own? Do you have family with you in Japan? Are your family here, depending on the event, are your family here today? So you're inquiring about family, right? Then you ask them, well, what do you do? And these don't necessarily have to be in this order. This is just a memory linking exercise to help you remember. These are things to talk about. What do you do in your business? Tell me about your business. Tell me about your industry. And then aeroplane represents travel, right? It represents hobbies, that sort of thing. Do you travel much? Do you travel much for business? Do you travel much? Do you like to go? Where's your favourite place to go? Oh, you like to go to Thailand. Oh, you like Italy. Oh, you went to Finland last year. Carry on with that. And then hobbies. Do you have a hobby? Yeah, I play tennis, I surf, whatever they do. You talk about that. And then finally, you ask them something about their industry, their business, you know. So what have you found? You know, do you think, for example, if we have a September increase in the consumption tax from 8% to 10%, do you think that's going to have a devastating effect on business? What do you think? Trying to get some ideas from them, right? So this is just a formula you can remember very, very easily when you're wondering about what am I going to talk about with someone. That memory linking is very, very easy. So let's try it again. Let's try it again. Here we go. So what's the first thing we could ask them about? Their name. And what's the second thing we could ask them about? Family, right? What's the third thing we can ask them about?
What do they do?
Their business, their job, right? What else we can ask them about? Do they travel, right? Do they travel for work? Where they like to go? Do they like to onsen? Do they go skiing? And what's the next one we could ask them about? Or another thing we could ask them about? Hobbies, right? What do you like to do? You play golf? You're a tennis player? What do you like? And then we can ask them, what's the last one we could ask them? Ideas, right? About some ideas about how they think about Japan, how they think about the economy, how they think about the tax raise. All of these things are very simple. And that little memory link is something, you know, if you get to the dinner party, you're thinking, oh, gee, I don't know, what am I going to talk about here, you know? You go, oh, yeah, I remember Greg gave me that memory linking with the nameplate in the roof and the giant baby and the briefcase and the aeroplane and the umbrella, not the umbrella, the tennis racket for the propeller and then, you know, big light bulb. And one of those things will kick off a conversation with that person as a simple memory linking exercise. So you're never going to be short on how to have a conversation. Now you know, right? Easy. So also here's some principles from Dale Carnegie. Now, I'm going to give you all, I think I've got enough, and maybe I'll get you, maybe can you pass them around? These are Dale Carnegie's human relations principles. Thanks, Max. And you can all receive one of those as a gift from me. And I've only picked up a few tonight. Now, these human relations principles, how to get on with people. If you're an extrovert and you have no trouble getting on with people, terrific. Keep doing that. If you're like me and you're an introvert and you've got to really work hard to get on with people, these principles will help you. So the first one is become genuinely interested in other people. So when you're talking to someone, look at them, concentrate on them, listen to them, really give them your full attention and ask them things that are about what they do because you really want to know about them. What they do is interesting, their background, where they went to school, where they've lived. Like tonight, I met someone who's lived in Manhattan, right? Someone who's lived in Cairns, right? Being an Aussie, that's a very close connection for me. I'm actually going to New York very shortly, right? So become genuinely interested in other people is a very good human relations principle. And the key word there is genuinely. Now, this is a classic. Don't, and I've seen people do this, right? So they meet someone at the networking event, but they're not looking at them. They're sort of looking over their shoulder. Is there someone more important that I could be meeting here than this person I'm talking to, right? And it's very rude. Doesn't create a good relationship. Don't be like that. Concentrate on the person you're with and give them your full attention. All right? Here's another one. Smile. That seems easy. But if you're nervous, or if you had a very stressful day, or you're just not a big smiler, this might be hard. When I was at Shinsei Bank, I was running the branch sales. And we used to have back office people who would put out the front when they stripped all the back office functions and put in one building. These are back office people who are the first face you meet in the bank. Not a lot of smilers in that group. They're back office people because they don't like people. They like detail. They like working on very minute things. They're not really big with meeting new people. But they were the face of the bank we're putting out there. I changed that. But smiling is so powerful. So when you meet people, smile as you're handing over your information. I'll talk about that in a minute. Big smile when you do it. That is the best communicator. And another one, be a good listener, encourage others to talk about themselves. Now, a lot of people want to tell you all about themselves. That's fine, that's great. But don't be like that yourself. Let them do the talking. Don't think, well, I'm going to impress this person. I'm going to really rock it. I'm going to really, tell them how great I am and all I've done and how wonderful my company is and how fantastic my business is and my background and where I worked and what I did. No. Get them talking. You, shut up. Let them talk. Most people don't get a chance to talk much about themselves. Let them have a go. They will really enjoy you because you listen to them. All right? Listen to them. Encourage them to talk about themselves. And talk in terms of the other person's interest. Well, I'm interested in karate. And I'm going to talk to you all about the intricacies of karate. You've got no interest in karate. You don't care about karate. So I'm having a very boring conversation from your point of view because you're not interested. Find out what they're interested in. What's the aeroplane? Where do they travel? Oh, do you travel much for your work? Yeah, I had to go to Europe. Oh, really? Which countries did you go to? Oh, I was in Germany. I've never been to Germany. What was that like? Tell me about Germany, And get them, what did you find that was interesting there? Or what do you like to do? Or get them talking about their interests. And you'll learn a lot about that person very, very quickly. That's what you want. You want to get to know that person and get some contact, connection with them. Let them do the talking. But when you talk, don't talk about what you're interested in. Talk about what they're interested in, and you'll do much better in life, not just networking. All right? And number 15, let the other person do a great deal of talking. I said that one. Did I copy that one twice? Anyway, cover that one. So social media. Now, this might be a bit hard to read from where you are, but people will, as I said before, know and be known. Now, this is very interesting. This says, who viewed your profile? 1,209 people viewed my profile. When you've got your phone out there and you're on LinkedIn and you go to your profile page, how many people viewed your profile? See, 1,209 people are viewing my profile. And on the right there, it says that 3,167 searched for me. 3,167 people were searching for me on social media. This is being known. Right? I'm using social media to be known. Now, this happens a lot. People will meet me and they'll say, oh, yeah, we're connected on LinkedIn. Oh, yeah, we're connected on Facebook. Well, down here it says there are 20,700 something people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn. I got no idea who I'm connected to on LinkedIn because I can't remember 20,000 people. And now it's almost 22,000 people, actually. But that means they already know me before I meet them. That's ideal from a networking viewpoint. You are a known person to them. So use your social media in advance. And also, people will check you out afterwards. They'll go and have a look at you and they'll want to connect with you perhaps, or they'll want to know a bit more about you. If you're in business and people are going to meet you, they will definitely check you out before you even turn up to the meeting. They'll have a look. Who are you? And if you're there with a very, tropical-looking cocktail and you've got a straw hat on and you're absolutely smashed at the party and that's your cover photograph for LinkedIn, Facebook, or whatever, move it, change that. Connect with Greg Story on LinkedIn or Facebook and have a look how I come across. I'm in a suit. I've got a tie. I'm looking like what I'm doing now, teaching or speaking. I'm in context for what I do. I don't put any family stuff on Facebook or LinkedIn or anything like that. It's all business, right? And that's the medium. I'm using that medium. So think about that. And remember, what you're promoting is your professional and personal brand. Now, interestingly, a lot of Americans I've met who are in the sort of 50s bracket, they don't use Facebook for business because they can't, because there's too much information from when they were younger on Facebook, which they don't want the world to see. So they have to sort of keep it in the circle. They can't actually project it for business. I was late to the party for this stuff, so I didn't have that problem, unfortunately for me. So definitely try and connect and have that have that connection. Now, I'm publishing 2 articles a day on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. They're about 800 words long, right? So every day, one's in Japanese, one's in English. I'm putting out content every single day. So when people come onto my site, and they say, what's Greg's story? He's got articles here. Oh, gee, he's got 1,600 articles. What's this guy writing about? Leadership, sales, presenting, communication skills. That's what comes up. Guess what? That's what we teach. That's what we train. It's all congruent. It's all in context. So the person they meet, they're going to be talking about those things. The person they see in the social media is going to be looking like they do those things, and the content is them actually talking about those things as an expert. So if they're looking for someone to do training in those areas, they're going to come to me because I'm top of mind. You want to be top of mind too, so use your social media as a way of getting to connect with people. Now, when you think about meeting people, and this came up before about how do I meet people? I would have done this evening. You were probably in conversation with somebody, and I would walk up, have the meishi out, and I'd say something like, may I meet you? Those terrified Japanese businessmen who are at the event, seated quite comfortably, quite safely, don't want to meet anybody, and I suddenly at their shoulder, right there, on their right shoulder. I'm right there. And I'm like, may I meet you? Very sweetly, and then I meet them. And I walk up to people and say, and I've already got the meishi out. May I meet you? And I'm bowing, and I've got the meishi out. What does that imply? Give me your meishi. Let me meet you. Because I've got the cure for cancer. And I'm fearless. Because I know I've got the solution for their problem. And everyone's got people problems, and everyone's got the same issues with people. That's what we fix. So be fearless. May I meet you? Now, a lot of people, when they say their name, and they say, well, hi, I'm Bill. And I'm like, didn't get any of that. And you may be doing the same thing. And it's like I was saying before, where people, they ask questions at events. I let some people ask questions apart from me, but often I hear them, they get up and they're supposed to say their name and their company. And they get up and they say, I'm from Zip. And you cannot understand one word they're saying. When you are saying your name, we're going to practice this now. Everyone just stand up, please. Stand up. So when you're meeting someone, you're saying, my name is, and have a little pause. Don't go straight in your name. My name is, little pause. And say your first name. Now, if it's Japanese, you'd say your family name if you're doing it in Japanese, but let's presume we'll work the English system. So your personal name. My name is Greg. Then don't jump the surname together with your personal name. Have a little part, right? So my name is, pause, Greg, separated, story, punch the story. Not, my name is Greg, story! Not that. But just hit it a little harder. Try it.
My name is Mario.
Excellent. Yeah, please, try it yourself. Try it yourself, please. Say it. Okay. My name is, pause, Greg, story. You hear it? Greg, story. Greg, part, story. Try it with your name. A little bit more part between the two names. Just a little bit more. Try it again. Yeah, don't run together. Okay, please sit down again. Very good. That simple thing will be very helpful because the person you're talking to will hear the name. They will hear the name. And then you're giving them the meishi, right? They can read the name. But that's much easier to catch who you are. Now, if it's a difficult name, you might ask them to repeat their name. Sorry, I couldn't catch your last name because they haven't learnt this. So they're putting the together and you can't catch any of that. May I get your name? So you ask them, well, what does your company, I see you mention, what does your company do? Get them talking. Get them talking, you know. And how long have you been working there? Right? This is the briefcase, right? We're doing the briefcase part now, right? How long have you been there? Oh, I've just joined this company recently. Oh, really? What were you doing before? You're starting to get them engaged in finding out what they were doing. They may have been working for another company that you want to meet, They're no longer at that company, but they may be able to introduce you to some key people in that previous company. That would be a handy thing to know. So you're looking at that, well, what did you do before? And then the memory linking, right? Family and hobbies and ideas and all that, all that type of thing. Where are you living? Like someone asked me tonight, I was living in Nagoya before in 92 to 96, 97. Where were you? I lived in Yagoto. My company's office was in Fushimi, right? When I was talking from the Hilton, right? And my office was in Fushimi, very close to the hotel. See, that's just connecting. I always stay at your hotel. That's me connecting, and that's true. I always stay at the Hilton. And that's because my office in Fushimi our guests always stayed in the Hilton, right? That's building some connection between us. We've only met tonight for the first time. Right? It works. And then, now, I belong to the German chamber. Any German people in the room? Okay. I've found that the German chamber is a chamber of giants. German men, very tall men, and I mean tall, right? And they are speaking in German. It's a German chamber, right? The language is English, but when they get together, they talk in German, naturally. And they are big guys, and they are shoulder to shoulder in a circle. It's like an iron wall or a steel circle, this iron circle. And they are talking in German, and they are chatting with each other. They're all, like my head is coming up to their shoulder type of thing. They're big guys, right? And you'll get that. People will be talking together. It was tonight. Some of you were like that. You were chatting together. And I just barged right in there. And I said, may I meet you? And I do the same thing. You got the cure for cancer. Don't hesitate. You walk up to that group. You tap one of them on the shoulder. He's in that circle. And you tap them on the shoulder. And they, was ist das? And you say, may I meet you? And then you get that person. Once you get in, then you try and meet the rest of them. Right? And I often, when I do it, I'll have more than one card out. And I'll give this guy my card, and I'll start giving a couple of the other guys my cards, and then try and collect theirs to keep them there. I don't want them to run away. I've got them there. I want to meet all five. It's usually 5 or 6 in a circle. Tap one guy, one person on the shoulder. May I meet you? Barge in there. Meet the whole lot of them. Otherwise, you'll meet no one, because you'll just be too shy. So, also, now, actually, I didn't wear the badge. Noriko gave me the badge. I didn't wear, so I'm not going to wear the badge while I'm presenting, because when you have got these badges on, they're plastic. So when I move, the light reflects on the badge, so it's a distraction. You're getting this light reflection on the badge with the speaker, so it's catching your eye, and you're not looking in my face, so I said no distractions. But if I was wearing that badge, I wouldn't put it on the left breast. Everyone's probably got it on the left. Put it on the right. Because when you meet people, you can't see it when it's on the left, and they can't see your name. Always put your badge on the right. It's easier for people to see your name. Right? It takes out the embarrassment for them of knowing who you are, what the company is. They can read it. Particularly if they've met you and they can't remember your name. And when it's on the left, they've sort of got to go, oh yeah, Mike. You put it on the right, they go, oh, Mike, right. I couldn't remember the name. Badge always on the right, easier to see, for helping other people not be embarrassed by not remembering who you are. So after the initial meeting, done the Meish Korkan, a little bit of a chat, filter, kiss the frog, I will follow up. I will say, after that brief discussion, I've heard they've got a need, I'll say, look, I'll catch up with you, I'll reach out to you. That's all I'll say, I'll reach out to you. That's it, boom. And bingo, I send an email. Great to meet you, great to chat. Are you available this week or next week? Straight away. That's all I say. Are you available this week or next week? I don't describe my company. I don't describe the product. Are you available this week or next week? Or are you available over the next 2 weeks? Straight away. Then some people never answer me, never get back to me. Others I have to send it a couple of times before they reply. Others never reply. Still, years later, never reply. That's okay. That's business. Not everyone is going to be that interested. But you've got to at least try. And I might, if they've said something interesting in that conversation, we might have a particular white book or white paper, an ebook. I might actually attach that when I send that email. You mentioned you're interested in this. I thought this might be interesting, and send it. If you've got something like that, if you can do that. Or if you've got a sample, you might send it to them in the mail, And don't make it too lumpy because they think it's a bomb, right? compliance won't even let that through the company. Don't make it too lumpy or too big. But you might, if you've got a sample or something, you might just send that to them. Catch up. And also handwritten mailed note. This is great. People who don't answer email. Now, yes, sometimes they don't want to answer email because they're getting rid of you. But other times they got like 200 emails a day. You know, they got so many emails. They don't know, this can't keep up. They're swimming against a tsunami, a storm tide of email. They can't keep up. And your email just gets buried somewhere. Their heart's in the right place, but they've got no time. They see you later. Yeah, I know, I didn't. Yeah, you sent me that email. Yeah, sorry, I didn't get a chance to get back to you. They are not brushing you off. They're just busy. So always follow up. I follow up 4 times. 4 times, and then I stop, because after that, you're just annoying. You're a psycho, stalking, axe murderer, as far as they're concerned. And that's too much after that. 4 times and I stop. Because if they aren't going to reply after 4 touches, they're never going to reply. And I always copy the first one. So I copy the first one and send it to them. Because, hey, I contacted you before. You never got back to me. Guilty. You're guilty. You're guilty. Reach out to me. And I do the second and the third one. I do it 4 and then I stop. All right. Maybe you want to do 20, but I don't suggest 20. But do follow up. So there are some things about networking. You have the cure for cancer. Be brave. You are here to help them. There are some human relations principles which we've gone through tonight which makes it easy for you to engage them in conversation if you use those principles. The Golden Book that I distributed has got 30 human relations principles in the front and 30 stress management principles in the back. If you look through those, they look dead easy. Oh, how hard can this be? I read this, make the person, easy to agree with you. Yeah, how hard can that be? Try it for a day. Try it for a day. See how you go. These things have got to be worked on. They just don't come naturally. You've got to actually practice, got to work on these things. But it will make things a lot smoother. So be brave. Use the techniques I've talked about. Kiss as many frogs as you possibly can, because that's how you will build your business. Thank you very much. And we have how much time for Q&A, would you say, Mario?
We should have, I think, 15, 20 minutes?
15, 20 minutes. This is another thing as a speaker, always nominate the time for Q&A. Because if you've got a hostile audience and you've got to escape with dignity by saying, well, time's up for questions, I must go, as opposed to, oh, well, I've got to go now. It looks like you're a coward running away because you can't take it from all these heavy-duty questions you're getting hit with. So always nominate the time as a speaker. There's another little hint. So who has the first question? Yeah, Julian, please.
My name is Julian Bishwa.
Perfect. Hey, let's give it to Julian. Hey, excellent. Well done. Very clear, wasn't it? You could actually understand his name perfectly. Excellent. What's your question, Julian?
Dr. Story, you've kissed many frogs in your lifetime.
I have, yes.
And my question is, how do you, what do you do with all these business cards after the morning after?
Yep.
You scan them?
Yes. I take them back to the office, and luckily, because I'm the president, I don't have to put them through the scanner. I give them to my assistant, who puts them through the scanner. But all the salespeople, we put on the scanner, a thing called Sun. It's an app that files them and keeps them. And so when I'm looking for things, I can go into Sun and find the person's Meishi. It's there, just copies both sides. Great. So to keep track of it, I used to have boxes and boxes and boxes of, I've actually still got boxes and boxes of Meishi. It's a nightmare. And I've got no time to file them. Like, gee, how can I file those things? And once upon a time I could do it, can't do it. So straight into Sun for later use. But if they're follow-up, I write follow-up on the card. These are for filing, goes onto our database, you'll get an email. These are for follow-up. They're going to get an email directly from me about something we spoke about. So I have them in 2 groups. And I mark them off accordingly. Okay? Who has the next question? Maki-san, you had a question.
Yes. My name is...
And by the way, Julian was first. Wasn't that good? He was the first to put his hand up. I also congratulate him on that too. Well done. And I think Maki was like a nanosecond behind him. He had a longer arm, His arm was a little bit longer, so he just got out there a bit early. But well done, Maki-san. You're definitely number 2. What was your question?
Shall I introduce myself?
Please, absolutely.
My name is Maki Mizuhara.
Beautiful. Nice. Excellent. Well done. Very clear.
From MTA.
Yes.
I'm the president. So thank you very much for your story, Sori-san. Regarding, like you said, kiss the frog, everybody.
Yep.
But like sometimes when you exchange the card, they just touch you.
Yes.
They just want to hold your hand and want to talk to you.
Yes.
How do you finish
Yeah.
in a nice way
Yeah.
the conversation?
Yeah. Well, as I said before, I shake their hands when they're. Why don't you come up here, Max, and I'll demonstrate. Here we go. Probably easier to see it. Please, maybe you're here. So, Maki-san's pretty charming, so I'd probably elongate the time a bit for her, I'd make a bit of an exception to the rule there. But we're chat, and I'd say, Maki-san, it's been great chatting with you. Thank you very much. I want to meet some other people here tonight. I'll catch up with you next time. Thank you. Bang, I'm gone. Bang, I'm gone. Just like that, right? Now, it's very, I put my hand out. Now we're shaking hands. This is farewell. This is goodbye. But I'm touching with the hand, right? I'm showing some warmth here. I'm making contact with her, right? I'm making contact with her, showing some empathy and rapport, but I'm saying, been great to meet you. I want to meet a few other people tonight. I'll be in touch, or I'll look forward to catching up with you next time. Gone, right? That's how you do it.
In a Japanese way, it's like, 他の方にも会いたいので。
Yeah, in Japanese, I'd say, いや、今晩本当にどうもありがとうございました。じゃあこれからまた新しい方会いたいので、ちょっと失礼いたします。またよろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。Right? Typical Japanese style, right? But that's, yes, I would do that. And have, again, more than one person needs the cure for cancer. Right? Your duty is to find as many people as possible and give them the solution that you've got. And you can't give it all to the one person, get trapped. Right? Someone down the back had a question. Who had a question down the back there? Yeah, you already answered it? Yeah, please. Wine, son, please. Yeah.
My name is Wang Jiang.
Little bit, let's have the wine part and then jung. Hit jung a bit. Once more, please.
My name is Wang Jiang.
Okay, now wine Zhang is a very unusual name. It's combining an English word with a Chinese name, right? So for you particularly, very good to have that. My name is Wine Zhang, right? So we hear Zhang is a family name. You want to try it again?
My name is Wang Jiang.
Okay, very nice. What's your question, Wine?
Can you give us any other ice-breaking ideas especially for women to use easily?
Well, I think in business, I think this is the weapon. This is the weapon. You get it out, you turn it around, and you're doing this straight away. They know it's coming. This is Japan. I got the meishi out. I'm bowing. It means I want to meet you, right? You don't have to explain anything. They know. Domo. That's how you do it. Man, woman, doesn't matter. You get it out there. And well, one thing I didn't mention though, nightmare for me, maybe you're better at this than I am, is extremely large events. I forgot to mention this, I'm sorry. Really extreme, and I mean, 1,000 people event. It's a big, maybe a Shininkai for a big industry group. It's packed, it's noisy, and it's just like a wall of humanity, right? And for me as an introvert, that's just overpowering. It's like it's killing me. Well, that many people. And it's like, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? Where do you start on this like that, right? Where do I start? And I find those events a little bit difficult because it's usually too noisy and too impersonal. But I still try, I look around, I find some people, and I just walk straight up to them, and I try and meet them. But I find it very, very difficult. I find it hard to meet the key people because there's too many people in the room. But still, doesn't matter. You've got to go for it. You've got to try. I met a $1 million deal at a networking event. Turned out to be, I didn't know the gentleman was going to be worth $1 million to me in training. He didn't have $1 million baby, he didn't have that on the forehead. He was just a person in a crowd of people. And I met him and we had a little exchange and I followed up and then I went up doing $1 million worth of training for that company. Right? What if I'd said, I don't want to meet anybody, I'm shy and I've got the cure for cancer, I'm going to keep it to myself. Right? Don't be like that. Be brave. And woman, man, doesn't matter. You get that meishi out, That's the weapon. Domo, domo. Yeah, bingo, straight in there. And they will meet you. Now, some people might give you the brush off. I don't need that. That's okay. Look, that's like 1 person in 100. You don't let the tail wag the dog, as we say in English, right? The dog wags the tail, not the tail wagging the dog. So you don't get put off by 1 person who's rude. I've had this happen to me. Brusque foreigners. Any brusque foreigners in the room? Sometimes we are brusque, right, as foreigners, and we're not very polite. And you can tell. You look like kryptonite, which is what Superman was afraid of, right? You don't want to talk to you. Oh, they just brush past you. They don't exchange cards. You know, they're not here for that. That's okay. Find someone who is able to meet you, but keep looking. Right? Who's the next question? Yeah, please.
Dr. Sor, thank you for your presentation. My name is James Head.
A little bit part. There can be a little bit more part between James and your surname, and hit your surname a bit harder again, please. Sorry.
My name is James Hedden.
See, nice. My name is James Hedden. Hear it? My name is James Hedden. James Hedden becomes one word. Very hard. My name is James Hedden. Very clear. We all got it, right? Please.
My question is, so you've given us a lot of examples of how to connect with a lot of people. In Japan, from your experience living here for so long, looking at a situation where maybe you're the only foreigner going into a room,
Oh, yeah.
where it's very conservative, compared to a situation where it's all foreigners.
Yeah.
Any differences that you would
Oh,
recognize?
yeah. Oh, yeah. No one wants to meet you in a Japanese room. And we belong to the Keisha Kyokai, Nihon Keisha Kyokai. It's a major organization, industry organization for industry heads, company heads. And there'll be a lecture, and it'll be incredibly boring with like 15 colors on the one slide and like 10 graphs on the one slide, you know, type of typical Japanese presentation style, so horrible. You put up with that for an hour, and they're speaking in a total monotone, putting you to sleep, just killing you. And you shamble out of that and you stagger into the where they're having the reception and try and revive yourself with a whiskey or something, I don't know. Anyway, so the Japanese, usually men, they're standing around, and they'll be like this, there'll be pairs, be talking to each other, or there'll be threes talking to each other, and they're meeting nobody new. Nobody new. Now, if you happen to know one of those 2 people, they will introduce you to the other person or the other people. But if they're on their own, they'll stand there with their glass on the table waiting for the kanpai, not talking to anyone. Da-da-da-da! Domo, konban domo. And I ask, you know, can I meet you? You know, I just go straight up to them. And their reaction is like, no smile, right? But they can't escape because I'm smiling. I'm bowing. I'm doing everything, right? And they eventually get their meishi out, and we exchange a little bit of conversation, and we start to, you know. Now, for my Japanese team, I had to teach them to do that because they are the same. They get up there and they're hoping they know someone in the room. They can go and talk to that person for the whole evening and meet nobody. And often I'm the battering ram, and it'll be the same in your company. If you've got Japanese team members, as a foreigner, you can be the battering ram. You can walk up to people and go, bang, hi, I'm Greg, story. And they come with you, right? You bring them with you, and then they come in behind and they got the, hey, no, yeah? And then they get to meet that person, you move on and bang, you hit another one, and they come behind you and they pick that one up. That's often, for them, easy, but now I've trained them, they can do it by themselves. But initially, I had to do that for them, go in there and smash up the wall and break it down and break into groups. And one thing too, I look for the big shot in the room. There's always some LA person, big shot in the room. And they're always surrounded by flunkies, you know, they've got their assistants or whatever, and other people who are also high-powered people. Bang, straight up to them. And there usually is a circle. And I sort of get the old shoulder out, you know, and I meet them, you know. And then the people who are standing out are also important. I meet all of them too. I clean them all up, get them all. Right? And then, oh, you blah, blah. So you're meeting the key people, and you can see where they protect themselves with this wall, right? This wall of bodyguards, so you can't get to them. Shoulder, in. You know? I mean, seriously, you just like, oh, sumimasen. You know? And move in. I've got the cure for cancer. Why would I hesitate? That's how I think, right? Yeah, Mario.
Hi, my name is Mario Long
Beautiful.
with Japan Mobility.
Excellent. Wonderful.
Really fascinating talk, actually. Thank you so much. So the takeaways are to be shy and not kiss frogs.
Exactly. Exactly.
The question I have is about follow-up, actually. So
Yeah.
you mentioned that you follow up 4 times.
Yep.
And I noticed that you said you copy the first letter in the second one.
Yep.
But you didn't mention about the third and the fourth. So I wanted you to
I
talk
copy
about
them too.
so you copy the whole chain?
I keep the chain.
Keep the chain.
I'm putting the pressure on here. I'm putting on maximum pressure. I'm saying, hey, buddy, gal, you didn't reply to me when I sent you the first email. Here's my second email. And you didn't reply to that one either, so here's my third email. And you didn't reply to that one either, so here's my fourth email. Don't be so rude, reply to me. Now, sometimes it happens, they reply, and sometimes they don't. That's okay. That's all right. But I've got to try, you know, I've got to try. And it's honestly, sometimes it's not because they don't want to, they're just busy.
If I could ask a follow-up, you didn't touch, speaking of the follow-up, on CRMs. Could you talk a bit about that for a lot of the people in here? Because I'm not
turn that
sure
off?
everyone is using a
Can you turn that
CRM. And if you are using a CRM, do you have any tips on things that you do
Are you going to use it?
to remind yourself to follow up? if you're-
Yeah, yes, that's a good point. And this is always a challenge, right? It's always a challenge. And what I will do is I will make a note in my diary, a day, follow up Mario. And on that day, I will send the email. Now, here's the thing. If you have an appointment with a client, do you turn up? You turn up, right? You defend the time and honour the time for that client. And you don't let anything else intrude. You honour the time. You have to do the same for yourself. You have to make appointments with yourself to do certain tasks, and follow-up is one of them. So you have to honour the time for yourself. Don't let other things intrude. And you say, I will spend an hour following up everybody I met at that event. For the next hour, I'm going to block that out for myself, make an appointment with myself, just as I would with a client, and I don't let anything intrude with a client appointment. I'm not going to let anything intrude for this 1 hour that I can do that follow-up, and I knock them out. Right? And then I make a note. Okay, got sent. Done. Right? And the way my diary works, I have a to-do list, contact, and I have a line through, it's all prioritised, A1, A10, B1, B10, C1, C10, D1, D10, etc. And I cross out the A1, if it's the A1, because it means I've started, and at the end of that, whatever it was, I have another tick to say I completed. So I know, started and completed. So I've got a system that allows me to track. And you need it, you need it. You know, I'm meeting probably, I don't know, I'd probably meet at least 100, 150 people a week, at least, you know. So it's hard to keep track. But not all of them are going to be followed up. Only ones I write follow up on the card, I get back and go, database, follow up. So I split them out so I know what I'm doing. Where's the next question? Yeah, okay, please, yeah.
My name is Tetsuya Tanaka.
Part, Tetsuya, a little bit more part, then hit Tanaka a bit harder. Once more, please, Tetsuya.
My name is Tetsuya Tanaka.
Nice, that's very good, excellent. That's how we do it, very clear, good.
And I'm with Caesar's Kitchen.
You are,
And I don't always meet people in person.
okay.
So how would you make a good impression on your first phone call?
Oh, okay, well, here's, phone call's interesting. Train everybody in your team to be friendly when they pick up the phone in your company, for a start. But you listen, when you ring companies, who answers the phone? Who picks up the phone? The most junior woman, usually, because they're the lowest in the totem pole in the company, and their job is to take the general calls. And no one's trained them. So they're like, XYZ company, with that degree of friendliness, XYZ company. They don't say their name, because they don't want to be accountable. They want to keep it secret, XYZ company. Like, they're not happy to get your call. So the first thing is, when you answer the phone, be happy. Dale Carnegie Training, this is Greg's story, you know, say it with some friendliness. That's the first thing. And when you're calling them, be friendly. Now, sometimes in sales, we use a mirror so we can see our face and we smile. So we know we're smiling when we're picking up the phone. Because when you smile and talk, it comes across much more pleasantly. It's a little trick you can use. You can see yourself and make the calls. Am I smiling or not when I make the calls? Hello, this is Greg's story from Dale Carnegie Training. May I speak with Tetsuya-san, please? You know, like that, right? And there's a pleasantness in your voice. Would you mind putting me through to so-and-so? Oh, hello, Tetsuya-san. We've not met before, but my name is Greg Story. I'm at Dale Carnegie Training, and blah, blah, blah. It's a quality of voice that's key, and what you're communicating, right? And you try and get them speaking as soon as possible. Are you okay to speak right now? Oh, you are. Thank you very much. What I want to talk to you about today very quickly is this, this, and this. And then you're trying to make an appointment, hopefully, so you can meet them face-to-face, because you're trying to sell it over the phone, unless there's a very specified product, that's pretty hard. And I don't recommend it. Unless there's a specified product designed for that, you try and meet the face-to-face. Okay. And I had a question here, please.
My name is Mark.
Okay, let's take that again. My name is Mark. No, you know what your name is. No hesitation, right? Take the ums and ahs and the anos and the etos out of that. My name is, name, part, surname. Try again, please. No, start again. Start again. No, see, when you have hesitation like that, when you start with ums and ahs, it says, I'm a bit nervous, I don't know what to say, I don't even know my own name here, I can't even get that out with an and an ah. No ums and ahs. You know what your name is, so you just go, my name is, name, surname, boom, just like that. Once more, please.
My name is Mark. What was I?
Now, the second name, you've got to punch it harder. So let's try it again.
My name is Mark. What was I?
Okay.
With TBSJ.
Mm-hmm.
The question I have is when you are in an event and you see the one guy standing there alone,
Mm-hmm.
not talking with anybody, and you see a group of two people talking with each other, which one do you go to first? I mean,
I'll go for anyone who's close to me. I don't care. One guy, and often people, the one guy is often good because they don't know anybody and they're very happy that you've reached out to them. Whereas the group feels, well, we don't really need you. We know each other. We're good. We're done. We don't need to meet anybody here new. We got the old people. We know everyone here. The family, we're all together. It's a reunion. The single person is happy. And I see them wandering around. I'm like, smiling and bring the card out. And they're like, oh, great, I can meet somebody. And then I introduce them. If I know someone, oh, have you met Suzuki-san? Oh, have you met Tanaka? And I try and connect them with other people that I know that are standing around there, if they're standing around there, and make them feel they're integrated into the group a little bit. And they appreciate that. They appreciate that I met them, and then I introduce them to somebody else. So now they know two people, you see? And that's what I'm saying about being helpful. They may not be a client, but I try and help them a little bit. Or I might bring them, come with me. And I know a bunch of people. I go and I say, everyone meet Suzuki-san. Right? I bring them with me. Come with me. They meet now 5, 6 people. They remember that. They remember that. Oh, that person, I didn't know them, but they were really nice to me, and they helped me, and they introduced me. This is what you want. This is the reputation that you need to have to be known. People meet you. Do they care? Well, that person's going to care. They're going to remember you, and they're going to care about you because you helped them. You got the cure for cancer, remember? They will remember you, and they will appreciate you if you approach it in the right way. I've got the last question. Who has the last question?
I'll take it.
Okay, Mario.
I win.
Okay.
I think a lot of this that you talked about is kind of the first stepping stone, right? Ultimately, if we all have businesses and we want to get a sale. One of the things that I remember reading in your book that was very simple, but really had a profound effect on how I'm able to secure business is you had, I think it was 6 steps.
Yep.
And they were starting with get them to know you.
Yep.
And at the end, it was getting them to refer you,
Yeah.
to recommend you.
Yeah.
And it opened up a lot of time because you just very vaguely touch on that and how people could use that as a way to manage leads to conversions?
Yeah. Well, know, like, trust is one of the key things. And this is where the networking is the know part. They know you now. And if you've done a good job in using human relations principles and engaging them in conversation, letting them do the talking, they will like you. Don't cut them off when they're talking. Don't finish the sentences for them. Don't jump in with your genius contribution. Shut up. Let them talk. Trust me, they don't ever have that experience too often because everyone's always jumping in. Let them go. They will then like you, and that starts to build a relationship, build a trust. So as far as referrals go, if you've had a good relationship with someone in business, that's the time for ask for the referral. If you haven't had a relationship with them, don't ask for a referral. You haven't built a trust yet. Particularly in Japan, they will not want to refer you if they don't know you very well. In fact, it happens for anybody. Like a guy reached out to me. He said he'd met me maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I couldn't remember him. He wanted to join a particular club that I'm a member of, and he needed someone who was a member to be one of the people recommending him. Now, I couldn't remember this guy. The name didn't ring a bell. I looked him up on LinkedIn and sort of vaguely remember I met him. And we probably just met at a networking event, but he didn't know anybody else. He reached out. I said, well, look, sorry, let's have lunch because I don't really know you to recommend you. I'd like to know you a little bit more. And we had a nice lunch, and then I felt comfortable to recommend it. Same thing. If they don't know you, they're not going to recommend you to somebody else just because they met you once. It's not like, I love Americans, right? You appreciate this with Americans, being Australian. Australia is a country full of cynics, by the way, but with Americans. I meet some Americans, first time, and then they're introducing me to somebody else to say, meet my good friend, Greg Story. We just met, like, hey, what are you talking, a good friend, That's American culture, right? Australians wouldn't dream of doing that in a million years, right? Wouldn't do it. But Americans, that's a culture, it's different. So Japan is definitely more like Australia. They'll not do it. So when you've actually done the business, you've done a good job, don't say to them, do you know anybody else who would also benefit from the solution that I've provided to you? Don't ask that question, because the problem is, do you know anybody else means the entire 7 billion people on the planet. You've got to get them to shrink it down to a bunch of faces they can see in their mind. Do you know anybody else in the American chamber, do you think, who would benefit from the solution we've provided with you? So now they've got all the people they know from the American chamber, all those faces in their mind, and they're going through who they know. Do you know anyone, maybe in your golf group, you think there would, do you know anybody in business that you're dealing with as maybe a vendor for you, or you're a supplier to them? And you've got to make it a more concrete group that they can see in their mind's eye, and the faces will roll around, oh yeah, there's so-and-so. If you say, do you know anyone? They just give up, no, I don't know anyone. It's too hard for them. You're making it too hard, make it easy. That's a piece of advice. So, in conclusion, and this is the other thing, when you're a speaker, you've got to have 2 closes. You've got to have the close of the first part, like I did before, and then you have the Q&A, and you don't let the last question determine the last thing in people's minds when they walk out the room. You control the message. So my message to you is, you have the cure for cancer. You can help a lot of people through your business. Never be shy, never be hesitant. Meet them, work the room. Get that message out in front. Find out through your filter who you need to have more conversations with, and have those conversations. And if you do that, you will be more successful in business, and this evening won't have been wasted. Thank you very much.